Greetings, greetings. How goes? Not that you can answer me, so I don't know why I asked that. We've got an interesting one today. I think I say that like every video, but whatever. It's The Curse of Sleeping Beauty. So, after I watched that Red Riding Hood movie, and I enjoyed it way more than the scores would suggest I would on IMDb and all these things. I think it did like terrible. I started looking into other twisted fairy tale type things, and I came across this little movie called The Curse of Sleeping Beauty. And it got like 4 stars, 5 stars, and I figured, okay, well, I think that's what Red Riding Hood got, and I actually really liked that one, so let's check it out. And I did. So that's what I watched tonight. Spoiler alert, you know the drill, getting right into it. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about the movie. So, you've been warned. Now, we have this gentleman, Thomas, who is sort of like a struggling artist type guy, lives in a little, very small studio apartment. Maybe it's like just like a bachelor apartment or something, but he has like stuff scattered everywhere. He's not very social. He's pretty antisocial, actually. Anyway, he's been having these dreams, reoccurring dreams of Sleeping Beauty, which is interesting. He's been seeing like psychiatrists about it. He's at the 3rd one now, and she's like, listen, you've been to 3 psychiatrists already. I'm probably going to tell you what you've been hearing from the other ones. I can't speak English, apparently. You're going to hear from me what you heard from the other ones. Basically, you're creating this perfectly submissive woman that doesn't really want to do anything or respond or anything because of your antisocial tendencies. That's like perfect for you. So that's your subconscious creating this for you. And he's like, okay, well, sure, but like the sleep paralysis and stuff, because he's having that as well. So the dream basically goes, he's in like a desert area, and he approaches the bed, and there's like a bunch of like pillars around it and 2 big statues guarding it, and Sleeping Beauty's in the bed, and he gives her a little smooch, and she wakes up, and they're all happy, and that's his dream. And then all of a sudden in his dream he gets this overwhelming pain all over his body, and he collapses, and that's when he wakes up. Sometimes there's one case in the movie where he wakes up and there's like a sleep paralysis demon literally crawling under his sheets up his chest, like with goop coming out of his mouth. So he's having a good time, basically. Not having the most fun in the world. Anyway, he gets this call from a beneficiary, which is this real estate agency, I guess, who says that his uncle has left him some house outside the city, like a 3-hour drive from there or whatever. He's like, my uncle? I haven't even met this guy. Like, who's this? He's like, I don't know. I'm literally just what do you call it? The person who dishes out all the stuff. So anyway, I'm told this is the case. Come down here, you can take the deed. There's also a little envelope for you, whatnot. So he does that. He goes down and takes the deed, and he's asking, like, how did he die? And she says, oh, it was ruled as like a suicide, apparently. He was found in the river, and yeah, he took his own life or whatever. And he's like, okay, it's very strange. Why did he leave it to me? She's like, listen, I don't know. I'm just giving you what is in the will, so it's yours. And then he also has this, and this little note to him that he reads later. Ends up saying something along the lines of, you know, this has been in the family for so long, I can't go on looking after it anymore, so I'm passing it on to you. I'm sorry in advance, or whatever, something like that. He's like, alright. So anyway, he goes and checks out the house, and he doesn't have the keys. I guess he's never been in this kind of a situation before, because usually if you inherit a house, you get the keys, right? Anyway, he doesn't have them, so he breaks in, because that's what you do. Just looking around the house, there's all this weird stuff, like old artifacts. There's like a Siamese twin head in a jar, and like kind of medieval looking statuette things and books and all kinds of weird crap. There are mannequins all over the house too for some reason. He's like, alright, that's interesting. And he checks out the basement, and it's just as weird down there. There's stuff everywhere, and then the door slams upstairs, and he looks, and he's like, hello? And the door's opening and slamming repeatedly. It's like, I guess the wind or something, but then he sees a figure. And he freaks right the hell out. Eventually he goes up and to investigate because someone's in the house. I mean, you can't just hide, right? I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it turns out being Linda, the person that's supposed to hand over the keys to him or whatnot. Which she does. So that's the figure he saw, I guess. But, yeah. So that happens. This says appraiser's coming the next day or something like that to check out the value of the house, because he's like, I don't want to live here. I'm gonna sell it and move out of this city and just start over. And she's like, yeah, I get it. The appraiser does come over, but he says it's not in the greatest condition. Like, the wiring is shot. There's like water damage. It's in a little bit of a state of disrepair, right? So he says, listen, you fix up the wiring, and then we can get it appraised. I'll come by again tomorrow either tomorrow or the next day or something like that we'll figure it out. We'll see what we need to do without breaking the bank, like as much as we can. He's like, okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Anyway, he ends up having these dreams again, but now that he's in the house, the dream is slightly different. So now he's in like a wooded, forested area, and Briar Rose, or the Sleeping Beauty, who we find out his name is Briar Rose, but Sleeping Beauty at this point, of what she's known as, is sleeping in a nest, like a big ass nest. And he goes and he kisses her, and she wakes up and she talks to him, and she explains, yeah, my name's Briar Rose. This isn't a dream, it's like a realm where you and I can both exist at the same time. We can communicate here, and it's legit. She tells him essentially that she's cursed, and that the house is cursed and all that, and that there are, he has to wake her up and all that stuff. And he wakes up. Oh yeah, in the dream he's like attacked by like demony things too, and then he wakes up. Anyway, so he wants answers, because obviously this house is making his dreams more intense. There's something a little bit stranger than that leads on. He's looking through the notes, and he sees things about like missing people and stuff tied to the house somehow. And so he goes and he finds Linda after hours and says, listen, I'm sorry for coming up to you on the street or whatever, but I need to know more info about this place, and I think And it turns out she does have more to do with this place than anticipated. She eventually reveals that her brother had died in the house, or for whatever reason. The brother and his girlfriend had been drunk and went into the house on a dare or something, and were never found, essentially. And she wants to know what the story is, what his family, if his family's behind it, like Thomas's family, I mean. And she's pretty determined to solve this mystery. So basically they kind of work together, because he's starting to think weird shit's going on. She's been thinking weird shit's going on the whole time. So they're both kind of on the supernatural vibe. The way I'm explaining it, it doesn't sound like people would come to that conclusion right away. But in the movie, it's done in a realistic enough way that, okay, fine, they could both think that. Oh yeah, because he has an experience too where like the mannequins move and like attack him, sort of. No, that's when they go together. I'm so sorry. So they go to the house together, and that's what happens. Basically, they go into the basement and they're looking around, and they find like there's like a push button thing, because the deed had said also, like, make sure you do not, when you're in the basement, don't go into the hidden rooms. And even the appraiser was like, I know this basement is bigger than it seems. Like, I've seen enough houses to know that even though it's not in the blueprints, there is more to the basement, more square footage. So we're gonna have to figure that out, and that'll add to the value, obviously. So that's something. Anyway, fast forward back to where we are, and they're in the basement. They find this little push button thing, and he pushes it and nothing happens. Then they look, and it's like, is that blood on there? And he's like, remembers reading in the notes that was given that like his bloodline essentially is the key to opening any door. So he's like, all right, on a whim, there's like this little sharp thing that also has blood on it. And he's like, I guess this is what they use. And he puts his finger and he puts it on the thing, and sure enough, it opens. Slides back, and there's another room in there with a journal on it, with like a spinning wheel on it. So obviously it's related to Briar Rose somehow. And he opens it up, but it's all in some weird language. And that's when the mannequins start attacking. Linda breaks the seal. There's like a paper X on the two paper X's holding the book together, and she breaks those so they can open it and read it. And then the mannequins all come to life, and it's kind of like, I don't know if you've seen that episode of Doctor Who, but like the Weeping Angels kind of mixed with the very first episode of like Chris Eccleston's run, where it's the living mannequins essentially. So you don't look at them and they move, and you look at them and they kind of stop. But in them, there's a creature that looks like a mannequin, and it just moves whenever the hell it wants. So they're like, which one is, it's a whole thing. Anyway, they end up getting out after, like, they narrowly escape, essentially, and they get out, and this car pulls up, and this man's yelling, "Get in, get in." Turns out this is someone that Linda has known and is like a paranormal expert or something, they've been communicating via email, and he's like, "I'm sorry we had to meet this way, blah, 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 but, when you said you were coming down, I had to come," whatever, I don't know. Anyway, it's a nice little meet and greet. Nothing like meeting one of your online friends, you know what I mean? I've done that a couple times, and it's fun. Anyway, I wasn't killed and eaten, so, I mean, that's always a risk when you're meeting someone that you've never met face-to-face, right? You could get killed and eaten, so, I mean, that's a thing. It happens, more than you think. Anyway, they head back to Linda's, and they, he starts explaining sort of, he recognizes the text in the book, and he's like, okay, this is like ancient. I don't really get it. I think it's coded. But he's explaining that it looks like Aramaic or ancient Arabic or something like that, and follows sort of like the story of Islam-ish a little bit. So it mentions some of the things he can make out are like the word djinns or demons, and like I guess they're interchangeable in whatever language this is. And he explains to them that there are three types of beings. There's angels that were created from light. There's man, which was created from clay, and then there's jinn, who are created from the fire. And like man, jinn have a free will of their own, and they can be either good or bad. So it's not necessarily, evil. But whatever's in this house, if that's a jinn, then it probably is, because it's trying to kill you, right? Because you're trying to. Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole thing, and he has some spells or something, or like chants that he knows, and he's like, I have some spells that may help, and they're like, may? He's like, well, I don't know, I've never done this before. Anyway, it works, and he ends up banishing. There's a djinn that's like approaching, and he banishes it to wherever the hell it goes by saying this incantation of some kind, and it's like, oh shit, that works, okay. Oh yeah, before this they had gone to, okay, so before they all went back to the house, the three of them together, they'd went to Linda's ex's house, ex of two dates, rather, I should say, who's like an expert at translating stuff, and he works for the government, and he has government programs that like are professional at translating things. So he puts this old text, he scans in all of the pages of the book, and the computer does its stuff, and it takes all night, but it's slowly translating stuff, and it's saying essentially, what is it? That, I don't remember what it says. This is terrible. I just watched this and I don't remember. Anyway, it gives away more of the story, essentially. And he figures out that he's not actually linked to the house. So what happened is when he got to the house, every time he left the house, he would get physically ill, physically nauseous or sick or injured or in pain or whatever. The longer he's away from the house, the more he deteriorates. And so he finds out that it's not the house that he's attached to, it's actually Briar Rose that he's attached to. And essentially, from what was translated in the text, they figure that they need to wake her, and when they succeed in waking her, that will break the curse, which, makes sense. Except in this case, the curse isn't just, her being asleep, it's like the whole house being messed up and people vanishing and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that's the plan. They're going to go back into the basement. In the dreams, she had said that she's physically near to him ever since he went to the house, so he knows she's on the property somewhere, probably in the basement. She mentions a veiled demon that like guards and stuff, and that like even your bloodline can't protect you from this once you get close to it. So like essentially, as aggressive as the djinns and their mannequin minion people were to everyone else, they wouldn't physically hurt him. But the closer you get to this veiled demon, your bloodline won't protect you anymore, and you can be killed too. So that he knows this going in, and they head down and into there, and all the mannequins are there, and it's creepy as shit. And that's when the guy banishes a djinn, and they end up making it down to the corridor, like the final corridor where they see the veiled demon sitting there with a spinning wheel. So right out of Sleeping Beauty, right? So I mean, there's truth to the fairy tale, essentially, is what they're getting at. Of course, the fairy tale, like Disney did to the fairy tale, is less horrific than the actual thing, right? Because I don't think Sleeping Beauty had djinns and demons and stuff in it. I'm pretty sure it didn't. But whatever, that's neither here or there. Forgot to mention, too, that the appraiser did come back and they forgot about him, and he ended up getting killed by the djinns. And that's the whole reason they rushed back. They're like, oh shit, the appraiser's gonna be here today. There's things in the house. So anyway, too late. They found the body and anything, and then they went in the basement and all this stuff happened that I just explained. So they find the veiled demon and it actually speaks. It's like, listen, you guys are idiots. Because it turns out that back at Daniel's place, more of the text is translated, and it doesn't show what's translated just yet, but he's looking at the screen and is like, oh shit. Meaning, okay, we didn't get everything correct. So the veiled demon is saying basically, like, it's the protector making sure this curse stays and whatever. And they're like, well, yeah, but we're going to break the curse. So sorry to spoil her fun, but, you know, she deserves to wake, and we deserve to have this house not haunted and people dying and missing and shit. And so he's like, okay, you guys distract him. Pretty sure Briar is in the room behind, which he sneaks into, and sure enough, she is. She's in like a, I don't know, it looks kind of like it sounds like an iron lung kind of, but it's like a glass case with like steel bars on it or whatever, and he ends up opening it, and she comes out like on like a sliding tray, I guess, for lack of a better word. She slides out, and he looks, he's like, okay, let's do this. Gives her a little smooch, nothing happens. He's like, well, what the hell? Bloodline, okay. So my blood will open like any doors, which it has so far. So he bites his lip to draw a little bit of blood, and then kisses her again, and lo and behold, she wakes up. And they all lived happily ever after, except they didn't. She wakes up, and she's as gentle and sweet as she was in the dreams, and she like gives him a little kiss again. She says, thank you very much. Thank you. Now I'm finally, the curse is broken. He's like happy, because I don't know, I guess he's thinking, this girl, you know, we got a bond. No, I'm kidding. I don't think that's what he's thinking. But anyway, hooray, the day is saved. I broke the curse by waking Sleeping Beauty, aka Briar Rose. And then her eyes go pitch black, and she starts talking in a deep, evil-sounding voice. Turns out the curse on her was a curse on her because she is, in fact, what did they say? Is it, it's essentially along the lines of like Satan, but like Islam is like Iblis or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, what the word is, but some ancient demon that once awoken will bring about the apocalypse. So as they're distracting the veiled demon in the other room, it like is kind of stronger than they are, clearly, and it's about to basically kill them, and then it gets killed, and you see it twitch and then fall, and behind it is little Briar Rose. She's just a little thing, just adorable, with pitch black eyes holding the veiled demon's heart, and she's like, alright. And then everyone is fully aware at this point as Thomas crawls out of the room screaming like, she's the evil one, blah blah blah, and it's like, oh no. And then Linda, trying to be a hero, rushes Briar. I mean, she's bigger than her, to be fair, but she's not an ancient demon, so, you know, it goes about as well as you expect that would be. Grabs her and like holds her up and is like choking her out and saying, listen, I could kill you right now, but I'd rather you watch and see how I destroy your world. And she's like, what the hell? Throws her back right into Richard, who goes flying on the ground. And essentially she it ends basically with her winning, and the world is gonna die and all that stuff. And it shows Thomas's body, or she disappears in like a black smoke into another realm, and I guess takes Thomas with her, because she says, now I'm gonna wake all of them up. So I guess her demon buddies are gonna all party like it's 1999 or whatever. And it shows Thomas floating in the air with like black smoke coming out of him. He's twitching, and that's the end. So yeah, they caused the end of the world because they thought the Sleeping Beauty was about an innocent maiden, and it turns out she was actually an ancient demon, so that's fun. Now, thoughts about the film. So, a lot of the reviews that were negative because they said, oh, the ending was terrible. It had such a great build-up, you know, it was such a neat concept, and then the ending was just... And it's like... I disagree, because I thought the ending was fun. Like... I mean, I'm not a nihilist or anything, but I like movies that have the balls to say that things don't work out. You know what I mean? Like, if you're dealing with this powerful ancient thing that's outsmarted you up to this point, it's probably gonna win. Like, and it does. And, yeah, I like it. So, I'm not gonna let that affect how the points go. I do agree with those reviews, though, that the build-up was good. The concept for the story is a great one. You know what I mean? Like, Sleeping Beauty being based on an actual curse that's keeping the world together, because Sleeping Beauty isn't in fact a maiden, but it is a ancient creature that wants to destroy the world. Maybe they changed the story to make her a maiden so that people are less inclined to believe that is a real thing, because that fits in with fairy tales more or whatever. I don't know. Like, there's so many things you could do with that. Having Djinn involved is a neat thing too, because even the fact that they were the protectors of this curse, since Djinn have free will, you don't know if they're on the side of good or evil. And in this case, the Djinn and the veiled demon, which I assume was a Djinn as well, but like the leader or something, was actually trying to protect the world. Yeah, it looked creepy and they looked weird and creepy, but like, I'm sure we look weird and creepy to them, so... Well, maybe not. I mean, we're just basically fodder to them, but like... Iblis, that's what the name that they said was. For the big ass demon or whatever. Iblis or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I have it written down on my sheet. So yeah, that's cool. So the Djinn, yeah, they were actually on the side of good because the whole free will thing. They just assume, oh, creepy creature, they're evil. You know, it's racist. It's creaturist or speciesist, or I don't know what you call it. So I like that. The acting was decent enough. I really did like the girl who played Briar Rose. I think her name is India something. But she was neat. I like the vibe that she gave her character, both the evil and the good one. I might have to see what else she's in. If she's any other horror things, I think she would do well in those. She's able to give off that really peaceful, calm, good vibe, but also the kind of creepy, like, haha, I fucking tricked you vibe, so that was good. Main character was pretty decent, too. I don't know the actor's name of any of these other people, I apologize, but he was good, Linda was good, Richard was fine. Yeah, all around, I'm not going to complain. Any movie that doesn't end in a happy ending, I gotta give them props. You know what I mean? It's nice change of pace. So, based on all this stuff... also, in the initial dream sequences, Briar Rose has, like, a really ornate, like, blue dress with, like... And she has, like, little jewels on her forehead and a line and stuff, and... The makeup and the costume design for her was really cool. I loved the look of it. The in real life version, she was kind of just in like a white dress, and she was just really pale with black hair and stuff. So it didn't quite match the in dream version, which is also cool because that's her kind of in the dream world manipulating her image to appear more like a, you know, sleeping princess, maiden type person, when in reality she's still looks the same, but she's not all ornate and dressed up and whatever, and her hair is even darker, and I don't know, it was a really cool, whoever did costume design for her was on point for that, so that was cool. Music was decent. I don't really remember it, so I can't say it was phenomenal, but it fit. Yeah, so that's it. So what am I going to rate this? I'm going to rate this I don't think it's an 8. But I'd say high 7s. I'm going to give it a 7.85. Honestly, I liked it. I really did. I actually bought this one too because I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, well, Sleeping Beauty, horror, let's test it out, right? So, yeah, I'm glad I own it because I'll probably watch it again. Yeah, that's my verdict. Should you watch it? I would say yes if you like the whole fairy tale gone bad thing. I spoiled the ending for you, to be fair, if you haven't seen it. But it's a fun ride on the way to this ending anyway, so even now that it's been spoiled, if you didn't heed my warning at the beginning, it's still worth a watch. And that's about where I'm going to leave this. Yeah, check it out.